What's a weird smell you're willing to admit you like? The smell of the water in boat-based rides at theme parks. Edit. Wow, I thought it was just me. Thanks Reddit family. Water coming out of a garden hose. The combination of polyurethane and the metallic ozoneness of the water is heaven. The smell of summer. Matches after the flame goes out. Me. 2 and fireworks. New tires in the shop. Fuck, that's a good one. Back in the old days. The smell of papers that the teacher handed out that were fresh off those old hand crank mimeograph machines. The solvent. You can really tell the age of people in this thread by this one. Anyone old enough to know this smell loved it. Anyone not old enough thinks it's an uncommon one. I can pretty much guarantee anyone over the age of around 45 in North America knows and loved this smell. That smell when you walk into a hotel with a pool. I love that over-chlorinated, humid reek of indoor hotel pools. WD-40. They said weird smell. Warm paper. Fresh out of the photocopier. That's pretty weird, right? Edit. Wow. There's a lot of paper sniffers out there. God bless you all. Warm copy paper feels good to touch too. The smoke fireworks leave behind. One of my favorite smells. A friend took me shooting at a gun range to teach me how to fire a handgun. And after the first round, I said, "Hey, it smells like fireworks." Cue everyone looking at me like I was an idiot. Hot parking lot when it first starts to rain. The best I can smell it now. Thanks for that. That smell in a sun shower is like the best feeling you could ever feel. Freshly opened tennis balls. The smell of AC right when it turns on in a car on a hot day. The smell of a Home Depot or Lowe's. Cat fur right after they clean it. Fresh asphalt. Also gasoline. I remember liking the smell of Disney VHS cases. OMG. This unlocked a memory for me. I also loved this. But I haven't done it in so long that I had forgotten. But this comment literally brought the smell right back. Thank you. PVC pool toys when you're unfolding them before you blow them up. I bought a shower curtain the other day and instead of a light plastic smell it smelled heavily of inflatable pool toys. Best shower ever. That musty smell right before it rains. Or the smell after the rain. I love the smell of wet dirt. I don't know if this counts. Where I used to live is very common to hug people all the time. And if I have been in someone's home before, the place would have a particular smell. And almost every time I would hug them, they would smell like their home. It always felt good to make that association. It was comforting somehow. The inside binding of a new paperback book. It smells so clean. Yes, books in general I think smell good. But brand new ones are the best. NGL. Sharpie permanent markers. I've always liked the smell of them since I was a little kid and I don't know why. It's like the smell activates all of my senses. Sharpie, stimulate your sentences. My own farts. Everybody likes their own brand. Whiteboard markers. And single-use lenses wipes. Honestly anything chemical smelling. Edit. Wow, thanks for the upvotes and awards. Glad I'm not the only marker sniffing weirdo. Whiteboard markers for sure. They're sweeter than Sharpie markers. Old books. Edit. Wow. Thanks for the many upvotes. Today I got my hands on a book from 1743, a gift from an old lady who wanted to throw it away, and this was really amazing smell. Similar, but old houses and antique stores. Intellectually I know it's dust and mildew creating that smell, but it's the smell of history and it makes me happy. The smell of brand new tech gadgets. It smells technology. Whenever I buy a new mouse or keyboard, it is especially true for Logitech products. I don't know if it is a general thing. I sniff them as long as I can detect that sweet plastic ultra clean smelling goodness. Back when CDs were the dominant form of data transfer, I would love every time a new one was opened. Just sniffing the new CD. Years later, I discovered a nearly identical, to me, smell that works just as well. Fresh saffron. Saffron smells like new CDs to me. And I love it. That clean laundry smell from external dry vents. Deleted. Chlorhexidine. All I know is that this thread is convincing me that we need smell printer technology right now. The smell of Home Depot. I have long been hoping for Yankee Candle to team up with Home Depot to a lumber aisle scented candle. I love the smell of basement, which I don't know if is weird, but I'm the only one I know who likes it. Me too. It reminds me of my childhood because my basement used to smell like basement, then it stopped when we finished it, lol. Gasoline. My son tried to convince me to let him sniff the open gas tank on my mower. I told him I get it, but no. Fart cap gun. And that blue copy ink from grade school. Have y'all ever done the scratch and sniff? I'm not 100% how to say this, but certain women sweat. It's like I can smell the pheromones. Kind of like how women like a guy who has a good musk sometimes. I like the smell of my own boob sweat. I was afraid to admit this, but since you said something, obviously not like rank smell, but just after a day of light activity, the natural smell that accumulates. I can't explain what it smells like. It's close to nothing, but I enjoy it. Edit. I never expected this level of solidarity over something that feels so gross, lol. The smell of stale air. I call it stale air because IDK the term for it, but it's the smell of basements and like air that comes from air vents. Also I like the smell of inside of subway, the subjoint. OMG, I love the smell of basements, garages, and old historic homes. When I rub my finger behind my ears or the sides of my nostrils, whatever glands are there, as I get older, produce a smell that for some disgusting reason is pleasant to me. People with piercings get this around the jewelry too. That funky smell of sebum smells like stinky feet and cheese. I get it around my ear piercings and in my septum. Not sure if it qualifies as weird, but the smell of Timothy hay is very pleasant to me. Timothy warned us about you. The smell of cooked white rice. Sawdust. Chlorine. Reminds me of hotel swimming pools. You've all pointed out that it's pee I'm smelling, and I'm cool with that. Still like the smell. Yes. Especially with the smell of sunscreen. Second-hand smoke. I'm not a smoker and have never been, but I think it may have to do with nostalgic memories of my grandparents' house when I was little. They were smokers. When you catch a subtle fleeting whiff of it outside on a fresh day, sure, but to be stuck in a room with it is the worst. For me. The chemical smell of plastic inflatables. The smell of summer. Cocaine. Funny thing is, good coke really does have a distinct smell that anyone with a history with the drug will recognize. It's a gasoline-ish smell but with an odd twist that makes it smell a bit different. I've been sober 7 years now, but fuck do I miss banging some clean coke. The smell of my dog. It sounds weird but he smells like coffee and I like coffee. Mine smell like Doritos lol. My own dirty hair. It's oddly comforting. Other people have also commented on it, but positively. Edit. Discussion about hair scent underneath is a great read. My kids' heads. I can smell it best when they're sleeping or whenever they've been running around playing outside and they're all sweaty. I'll give them a hug and a kiss on top of their heads and sneak in a little sniff. All three of them have completely unique scents, and underneath the sweat and outside air, they still smell exactly like they did when they were newborns. I'm convinced I could pick them out of a lineup. Blindfolded. Makes my heart squish. I can also smell when they're getting sick. Sometimes before they even feel symptoms. I can definitely tell when they have strep. Sick smells and good smells, obviously. But doctors do look at me like I'm insane when I bring them in and say this one smells like strep. I need you to test them. I've not been wrong yet. Church candles. You know when you walk into a church and they're burning those long tapered white off-white candles? And there's that indistinct but waxy scent wafting through the air. And X200B. That scent. Just old churches in general. Lots of candle smoke. Furniture wax. Incense, if Catholic. Good smells. The smell of a hot computer. It gives a melting plastic stench. Reminds me of the computer lab class back in middle school. Used to goof off in there on the daily and try not to get caught. Good times. Windex. My sister's dog liked this smell, too. She would follow my sister around the house when sis cleaned the windows. RIP. Snickers. Nintendo plastic. There's something about that new console smell. Cow poop. In fairness, it was the smell that made me realize it was returning post-COVID. I grew up in a cattle town. Smell is awful, but for some reason it's comforting to me. Like a really shitty security blanket. My own skin when it's been in the sun for maybe an hour. Not burnt. Just sun-kissed. Similarly, I love the smell of clothes I've worn in the sun but not sweated in heavily. The other day I pulled a swim cover up out of the beach tote and it was just so nice. Like sunscreen and sun and salt. My husband's sweaty body. I imagine it's his natural pheromones come out and it just excites me. It's the best smell in the world to me. My boyfriend's sweat. Not your husband's lol. Bonfire on my clothes. That's funny, I love the smell of a bonfire. Hate smelling it on my clothes the next day. Clears throat. Wet paper towels. Specifically the brown ones from bathrooms. Oh. Also freezer. Just freezer. Hey, you just unlocked a childhood memory for me with the brown towels, thanks. Smells like sweet respite from a math lesson by saying I have to pee. Or sweet respite from school altogether by getting injured. Needing a bag of ice wrapped in one of those brown towels. And parents are on the way. Wet soil. Tomato plants. Plastic shower curtains right out of the package. I think we can all agree on dog Frito paws. I've always been a big fan of acetone. Crayons. Bleach. The smell of opening a pack of MTG cards. IDK if it's the paper, the ink, or a combination of both. We bought something from Costco the other day and the box smelled just like this. My wife looked at me like I was a psycho for furiously sniffing the box and saying, "Oh yeah, smells like my childhood." That one Band-Aid smell. Tomato vines. I have quite a list. 1. New shoe smell or just the smell of a shoe store. 2. Book paper. 3. Wood dust or just cut wood. The smell of Home Depot basically. 4. Cow poo. 6. Skunk. 7. Gasoline. 8. Wet dirt or any soil you would buy in those large bags. 9. Pond water. 10. Pennies. Oh, and the smell of tires or any car store. Smell of burning diesel. Freshly poured asphalt. Not, like, huffing the stuff, but some road work a block or two over? That's the stuff. Fresh rain on dry pavement. The smell of petrol. But I get the feeling many people like it. The weird after sneeze smell I smell sometimes. I get that smell but I hate it. Pine sol. Horses and barns. My mum would always make me change as soon as I came home so she could throw my barn clothes straight into the wash, but I'd steal my sweater back. It was just a comforting smell to wrap myself up in. And saddle leather. Spray paint. Machine lubricating oil. My dad was a machinist. He had this smell on his work clothes. I miss my dad. Burning orange peels. I grew up next to a Tropicana factory lol. Not quite sure how to describe this one. So like, gasoline. But after it's been used by a machine. I don't mean exhaust. But like, if you've ever been around a skid you know what I mean. A two-stroke running in the cold. Nothing beats that smell. Alcohol swabs. New clothes smell I like the smell of the chemicals lol. Pencil lead graphite. Hop snow. 9. The sofa that my dog laid on has a really bad smell. But since she died I kinda just go sniff it a little cause I miss her. Ozone and wet basement. Wet cement. Bird's nest. And eagles. They don't like being sniffed. New tires in a tire store. Bull sweat. I scrolled down a lot looking for this. Thanks for the vindication. Not gonna lie. A quick whiff of WD-40 really invigorates my focus on whatever project I'm about to fuck up. The smell of recently ripped scotch tape. Hard to describe. But it has a certain juvenile charm to it. The smell of the sky when it's about to rain or the aftermath of the rain. It's very calming and just refreshing to me. Tobacco. Not burning cigarettes or cigars. Just plain old tobacco. Any hardware store. Play-Doh has such a great smell, and as a child licking my fingers after playing with it was irresistible. New electronics. The freezer. Even though people tell me it does not have a smell, those people are 100% wrong. Most freezers, especially older fridges etc., have a very distinct smell that I can only describe as cold aluminum, but I can recognize it instantly. The weird hand soap restaurants and airports always have. The smell of wet cat fur. That anti-fouling stuff they put on the bottom of boats. I grew up in a rural fishing village as a kid and smelling it transports me right back to my childhood. Dog's paws. Fresh cut wood. Ironic considering I hate the smell of wood burning. Somehow, it's oddly specific. My dad and Esso have both smelled this way. And possibly it has to do with sweat, the good smell IDK how to explain it, mixed with freshly cut grass and a hint of gasoline? Exclamation point love that smell. It's very comforting, nostalgic and absolutely reminds me of my childhood. Old grease. Not 1980s old, but like 1940s old. The smell of vintage typewriters, metal typers, projectors, etc. The smell of a warm, somewhat greasy engine from the 50s and steam oil are very close seconds. What can I say? I like machines. Plastic like from old 80s action figures. That or some of the weird smells they'd give certain character toys like Stinker from He-Man. This is probably nasty but I think the air filter is going out in my car and I strangely love the smell. Insulin. Fresh cigarette burning. I don't smoke and hate its harmful effects and old cigarette smell is awful. But I do like passing by someone smoking. Weird, yes. Cats. I have one cat that smells so good. Right behind her ears. It's also her softest fur. Powdered laundry detergent. Face with heart-shaped eyes. That rubbery scent when you go into a spirit Halloween.